Okay, imagine this. You're about to jump into an important Zoom call, a live stream, or maybe even your next YouTube video, and you turn on your webcam and boom, you look like a pixelated Minecraft character from 2012. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's unacceptable in 2025. It's time for an upgrade. Today, we got two of the best AI-powered webcams the market can offer, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 and the Insta360 Link 2, and we're about to put them through the ultimate showdown. These webcams just aren't cameras. They think, they follow you, they adjust lighting, zoom, and even let you control them with hand gestures. Sometimes a little too well. Are these the best AI webcams on the planet? Or just overhyped tech that's going to be outdated in 6 months? By the end of the video, you know exactly which one is worth your money and which one just might be a waste of your time. Let's go. Up first is the OBSBOT Tiny 2. This thing comes in a clean premium box right out for the gate, and it's got this miniature security camera vibe. It comes with the webcam itself, which low-key looks like a robot from Star Wars, a magnetic base that sticks to any metal surface, a USB-C to USB-A charger because tech companies can't agree on one single universal port, and a privacy cover because we still don't trust Zoom. Build-wise, this thing is chunky. It feels premium, but also it could survive a drop from my desk. No, I'm not gonna test that. The Insta360 on the other hand, is smaller, lighter, and looks like it was made by Apple. It's minimalist, but in that I cost more than I probably should kind of way. It comes with the webcam, a fold-and stand, because sometimes you just don't want to mount it, and a USB-C cable. Overall, the OBSBOT gives a rugged powerhouse, and the Insta360 is more about the sleek and polished perfection. Now, we've seen how they look, but what happens when we actually start testing these things? More importantly, what happens when we try testing their AI features? Stick around because that's what's coming up next. I see you still watching. Nice. If you're liking this so far, join the journey. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's continue. Setting up the Tiny 2 is stupidly easy. Plug it in, download OBSBOT Studio app, and boom, you're live. For the gesture controls, you raise your hand up to zoom, making an L to track. You can also literally talk to it. All you have to do is say, "Hey Tiny, track me." I swear it's one firmware up there away from achieving sentience. It also has face and body tracking modes. And with the manual PTZ control, you can move it yourself using the app. Initial thoughts with the software: it's powerful, but it's a little overwhelming. If you like tweaking settings, you're in heaven. But if you just want it to work, well, it might take a second or two to figure things out. For the features for the Insta360, it has an auto frame mode which tracks you without looking hyperactive, a portrait mode which shoots 9:16 ratio for TikTok, Instagram Reels, etc. Perfect for your short forms. It also has an HDR mode, which adjusts exposure automatically, so no manual settings are needed. And also there's great feature for content creation, overhead mode, where the camera flips down to document scannings or unboxings. Way more beginner friendly than the Tiny 2. If the Tiny 2 was an Android phone, where it's more powerful but you need a lot more tweaking, the Link 2 is more like an iPhone. And it just works and looks great whilst doing it. But wait, how do these features actually hold up to real life tests? Does the voice control work? Does tracking actually follow you? Or does it just glitch out? Let's put these webcams through some real challenges. Test 1, walking around the room. The Tiny 2 is hyperactive and follows everything almost immediately. For the Insta360, it's a bit more controlled, tracks more smoothly without overreacting. One's like an overexcited puppy, and the other's like a really patient cameraman. Test 2, spinning on a chair. Don't ask me why I'll do that, but here we are. So the Tiny 2 follows aggressively but gets a little shaky. For the Insta360 Link 2, it stays pretty much locked in. Test 3 are the hand gestures. For the Tiny 2, it works 80% of the time, but sometimes it just ignores you. Like friends, when I'm speaking and no one hears what I'm saying. And for the Link 2, it works well about 90% of the time. Before we move on, which AI tracker do you think works better? Are you team Fast and Furious OBSBOT or more smooth operator Insta360? Drop your preferences in the comments and let's see if anyone else agrees. Time for the daylight test. Let's start with the best case scenario, a well-lit environment. Think of it as your standard work from home or studio setup. The Tiny 2 gives you vibrant colors that pop right off the screen. Skin tones are warm and details are sharp. It does a great job balancing the highlights and the shadows. But here's the thing, sometimes it does look a little too vibrant. Like, it's trying a little too hard to make you look good. And I'm sure you're already a good looking person, but if you do like bold colors, then you're gonna love this. But for the Link 2, the colors are more natural and the dynamic range is honestly pretty insane. Even when I'm standing by a bright window, it handles the highlights without blowing them out, and the shadows are still detailed. It's like it knows exactly what I want before I do, which is great because, you know, I'm not that photogenic. Now, here's where a lot of webcams struggle. Low light environments. Whether it's a Zoom call or a late night gaming stream, you need a webcam that doesn't make you look like a grainy mess. As you can see, my setup is more on the darker side, so I would really like a webcam that can perform really well in low light. Now, the Tiny 2 does its best here. It automatically boosts brightness, which helps a lot, but the trade-off is some graininess in the shadows. It is still usable, but if you're a perfectionist, this might bother you. The Insta360 Link though, it's on another level. With its HDR mode, it balances the scene beautifully, brightening your face without completely blowing out the highlights. And guess what? The grain is minimal. Even in low lights, it looks like something that could be in comparison to something like the Sony a7 IV. Okay, and because I love chaos, I decided to test both webcams under the ultimate low light challenge, a candle. As you can see, the Tiny 2 struggles a bit. There seems to be quite a bit of noise and the face detail gets a bit muddy. The Link 2 handles the scenario a little bit better. There's still some of that grain, but it's less and it seems to maintain detail. So the winner for the low light, giving it to the Insta360. On to the microphone test. Okay, so this is the Tiny 2's mic in a quiet room. This is the OBSBOT Tiny 2 audio test. How do I sound? It's clear and perfectly fine for casual calls, but not exactly podcast quality. And now that I've got some music playing in the background, it's the OBSBOT Tiny 2 audio test. How do I sound? Yeah, it's not handling it pretty well. Yeah, it's picking up everything. The music, my voice, my neighbor's dog, my anxiety, or my baggage. And here's a test of me yelling about 8 feet away. This is the OBSBOT Tiny 2 audio test from 8 feet away. How do I sound? And as you can hear, it struggles to pick me up clearly. It's like I'm yelling at the microphone from another room. We're going to do the same test for the Insta360. This is the Insta360's Link 2's audio. How do I sound? For the quiet room, it is noticeably clearer with more depth and warmth to my voice. It sounds better. Now with music playing in the background.
This is the Insta360 audio with background music. How do I sound?
The Insta360 does a decent job about cancelling some of that noise, but it's not perfect. But it definitely steps up from the OBSBOT. Here I am 8 feet away.
This is me on the Insta360 Link 2 audio about 8 feet away. How do I sound?
And yeah, it's still struggling a bit, but it's slightly better than the OBSBOT in this scenario. It just holds onto my voice a little better. I want to make one thing clear. Neither of these webcams are ever going to replace a proper dedicated mic. But if I had to pick one for built-in audio, the Insta360 Link 2 is the clear winner. It's clearer, handles noise a little better, and just feels a bit more polished. Now that we've done all the tests, let's do a quick price breakdown. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 is $329, while the Insta360 Link 2 is $369. We're looking at a $40 difference. Not massive, but definitely enough to make you wonder, why am I really paying that much for extra cash? Let's see what you're getting for each at their base prices. For both, you're getting great 4K video, AI tracking, and gesture control. The difference of both start to come in with the low light performance. For the Tiny 2, it's decent but can be a little grainy, while the Link 2 is quite excellent. The Link 2 also has 2 up against the Tiny 2 with the HDR mode and the overhead mode. And while both webcams do okay with mic quality, the better clarity and less noise is going to come from the Link 2. If you want more control over the software of the webcam, I would suggest going for the Tiny 2. While if you don't really want to mingle with settings, I would suggest the Link 2. Both are pretty portable to move around, and the Tiny 2 has voice control. So the final verdict, if you want to prioritize tracking speed and customization, the OBSBOT would be your best spot. If you want better overall video quality and smoother tracking, I would suggest the Link 2 from Insta360. Now, you might be wondering which one I use personally, and it might surprise you. The one that I personally use is the OBSBOT. Why? This might sound a little shallow, but it just looks better on my setup, and I quite like the tracking system. Additionally, I'm pretty lazy, so I prefer using voice controls to command it to follow me around. Yes, the Insta360 came up on top for this comparison battle, but for the lower price and the style, the OBSBOT's going to be my pick. So, which one are you picking? Comment below, Team OBSBOT or Team Insta360, and let me know what you think about this next video.